900 million people on Earth live on less than $20,000 a year. One person in roughly every 100,000 makes $1 million. Everyone else is somewhere on the ladder in between, and almost nobody realizes the ladder has exactly 7 rungs, each one quietly rewriting the rules of money the moment you step onto it. Here's why that matters right now, in 2026 specifically. Inflation didn't just make things more expensive. It moved the entire ladder. $40,000 used to mean something. Now it barely covers rent in half of America's major cities. The thresholds are the same numbers, but the floor underneath them has dropped, quietly, while nobody was paying attention. Let's start at the bottom. Level 1. $20,000 a year. At this level, money isn't a tool. It's a countdown timer. Every dollar is spent before it arrives, mentally, on rent, on food, on whatever broke last week. There's no investing happening. No retirement account quietly growing in the background. Just survival, and brutally simple math, income in, expenses out, almost always negative by the 15th of the month. Here's the part that should bother you. At this level, being poor is expensive. Payday loans. Overdraft fees. Buying in small quantities because you can't afford the bulk discount. The system charges a premium for not having money. Quietly. Efficiently. Nobody designed it maliciously, but it functions like it was. Level 2. $40,000. This is where most full-time workers in developed economies actually sit. And this is the level that lies to you the most, because $40,000 sounds like a real salary. It looks fine on paper. But run the math on rent, a car payment, groceries, insurance, and a phone bill, and you're left with maybe $200 of breathing room a month. One unexpected expense away from level 1. This is survival with a slightly nicer apartment. That's it. That's the upgrade. Level 3. $75,000. Now we hit the number economists actually argue about, because there's research suggesting this is roughly where day-to-day happiness stops increasing with income. Not satisfaction. Happiness. The specific, measurable, did today feel okay, kind. At $75,000, bills get paid without a cold sweat. You can absorb a $400 emergency without panic. You can take a vacation that isn't funded by credit card debt. This is the first level where money starts working a little for you instead of just running through your hands. But here's the irony nobody mentions, this is also the level where lifestyle creep quietly becomes a full-time hobby. And it's worth understanding exactly how that happens, because it isn't dramatic. Nobody at $75,000 wakes up and decides to sabotage their own future. It happens one upgrade at a time. The apartment gets a little nicer because you can finally justify it. The car gets financed instead of bought used, because the payment isn't that bad. A streaming service here, a meal delivery app there, a gym membership you use 4 times. None of it looks reckless. Each decision, on its own, is completely reasonable. The problem is the ceiling rises exactly as fast as the income did. People don't get richer at this stage. They get more comfortable while staying exactly as financially fragile as before. Same cliff edge. Just a softer carpet leading up to it. And the strange part is, the carpet feels like progress. It isn't. It's the same emergency fund of $0, wearing better shoes. Level 4. $150,000. This is the salary that should feel like freedom, and for a huge number of people, it doesn't. In high-cost cities, $150,000 gets taxed aggressively, then handed over to a landlord who's also aware that you make $150,000. Child care alone in some American metros runs $20,000 to $30,000 a year. Add student loans. Add a mortgage at today's interest rates. People at this level are often house-rich and stress-rich simultaneously. They look successful at a dinner party and check their account balance in the bathroom. This is the level economists quietly call Henry. High earner, not rich yet. It sounds like a compliment. It's actually a warning label. And here's what makes this level genuinely strange, it's lonely in a way the lower levels aren't. Below this point, financial stress is common enough that people talk about it openly. Above this point, people are assumed to be fine. So they stop mentioning the stress at all, even to each other. You end up with rooms full of people earning six figures, all quietly doing the same anxious math in their heads, all assuming everyone else in the room has already figured it out. Level 5. $300,000. Now the math finally starts bending in your favor. This is usually the threshold where investing stops being theoretical and starts being structural, meaning a person at this level isn't just saving, they're building. Retirement accounts maxed. Maybe a rental property. Maybe equity in a company. Money is starting to make money, quietly, in the background, whether the person is paying attention or not. This is also roughly the income level of the top 5% of earners in the United States. Statistically rare. But here's the twist, most people at this level still don't feel rich. Because they're surrounded by other people at this level. Perception resets to whoever's in the room. Level 6. $500,000. This is where a strange thing happens. The salary becomes almost irrelevant, because the conversation shifts entirely to taxes, structuring, and something most people never think about, how income is taxed completely differently from how wealth is taxed. A salary of $500,000 gets hit hard, often losing close to half to combined taxes depending on the state. But the same $500,000, if it arrives as capital gains, as business equity, as long-term investment growth, gets taxed at a fraction of that rate. This is the moment the script flips from, how much do you make, to, how is it labeled when it arrives? Same number. Different rules. Quietly, completely different outcomes. And notice what's happened by this point on the ladder. 6 levels in, and the definition of rich has moved 6 separate times. Each time someone arrives at a number that used to sound untouchable, the goalposts have already quietly relocated, because everyone they're now comparing themselves to has also moved up. Rich was never a number. It was always just whoever was standing slightly ahead of you. And then, level 7. $1 million. Here's the uncomfortable math nobody puts in a headline. $1 million salary, earned the normal way, as actual W-2 income, gets taxed so heavily that the take-home isn't even close to $1 million. It's closer to $550,000 to $600,000 after federal and state taxes in most high-tax jurisdictions. Meanwhile, somebody with $1 million sitting in appreciating assets, stock, real estate, a business, pays close to nothing in any given year, because unrealized gains aren't taxed at all. They just exist. Quietly compounding. Untouched until sold, if ever. This is the actual secret at the top. It's not that rich people have more money. It's that past a certain point, they stop earning it the way everyone below them does. The W-2 salary, the thing every level before this one was built around, becomes almost a beginner's tool. The real game at level 7 isn't income. It's ownership. And almost nobody tells you that until you've already spent a decade climbing the wrong ladder.